Hi everyone, I hope that you're doing well. Thank you for handing in 4 and 5 are starting to come in, so that's great. So first thing, remember that there's a time change. I believe in the US this weekend. There was already a time change in Europe, so we need to double check and see. I think it puts us back at the same time, but I'm not positive. So everyone check the world clock for next week. I was very late to my VC the other night because I had the time change and the US didn't, and I got mixed up. So before you log on or during the day next week on Saturday, just check the time change. If you're not in the US, just see on the world clock what time it is for you versus the US, okay? It always happens. Someone is always late. I try not to make it me, but we'll send you messages and get you on if you forget. So I'm going to do kind of an overview of what the next 2 weeks look like, and there are a lot of different activities for these 2 weeks, so I'm hoping that you guys can get caught up on your videos and then kind of dive into these projects, these little mini projects I should say. So we kind of talked about this one a little bit, and I'm glad that I had brought it up earlier and I was able to share this information with you. But this is the first activity for Module 9. This is the Professional Development and Continuous Learning, and it's looking at building a personal learning network among other teachers in all of Teach Now. So every single cohort that is going through the program all has this assignment right now. So every single person on that's running through at your same exact spot will be jumping on possibly to Twitter. We have a Twitter live chat going under the hashtag of TN Cohort. So originally this was designed in that you guys created the events, but somehow instructors actually took it over and started running these events in under this TN cohort. We go in and a live chat is pretty neat in that if you're showing up at the exact time that they are being run, you can kind of see this interchange of different questions. So various instructors will go on, and if you just jump in at any time during the week, you can see those questions posted, and you can comment on other teachers, and you can comment on other professionals that are on at that time. So when other organizations run these live chats, it is pretty neat to see because you can jump on with other teachers around the world or other professionals in that content that you're trying to learn more about. So during the event, they discuss these 3 different topics and coming up with just some ideas of how you could use Twitter in your classroom or outside of your classroom to kind of just include your community or parents or maybe even your students, but probably not. So if you want to do that, there are some resources of how to get started on there. There are some different ways to use Twitter in the classroom. The one that I saw that was really cool and I did was a STEAM challenge of different people all over the world doing that STEAM challenge. And then I had my kids do it and we posted our pictures on there, and we looked at if we could beat their paper tower. So that was actually pretty fun. If you are choosing not to go on to Twitter, so if you're choosing to go on to Twitter, you have an account, you're comfortable with it, you can jump onto that hashtag TN cohort. You are updating, you're looking at what other people are doing. Great, just follow the activity as it reads. But if you are not comfortable going on, this right here, and I will send you this, is the second activity. So the first one is exactly how it reads on the platform, and the second one I designed for people that are not comfortable using Twitter. So you're just selecting 2 organizations that you follow. I follow NSTA, a science organization, and also NGSS, two huge organizations that I follow, get updates on. I follow the IB, the AP. I follow some different gaming companies that I like to use in my classroom. So these are just some things, and by follow, I mean you're a part of or use their websites often, and how they can help support your teaching. These were the questions that were discussed that will be discussed on the Twitter chat this week. So again, it'll probably start around Sunday or Monday and just run at various times throughout the week. So you can take a look on, and you don't have to participate either. But if you're not jumping onto Twitter, I want you to still discuss these. These are how I can give you the points on your rubric this week, okay? On the discussion forum, you can tackle this bottom part here. Could you possibly use Twitter as something you could do in your classroom? So I would share what I did with the paper towel. My students were not on Twitter. I used Twitter to help come up with an idea to teach, and then I took that and I used it as a challenge for my students. Discuss the pros and cons of using Twitter. This is always a fun one to read. And the challenges. So put this bottom piece here on the discussion forum and write up this in a doc or any format that you wish, and that will give you credit for the Twitter activity. Okay? Yeah, there are some different ideas, some neat ideas of how to use Twitter. It's interesting because when I used to teach earth science in the States, the students had to write, they had to get directly to the point of something when they were writing for their constructed response. And they would write these big, long paragraphs, and in it I would be like, the answer's not even in there. So actually it would be kind of neat to be like, you have to write this out as if it was a Twitter, tweet with so many characters and get straight to the point, because that's something that you need to do in Twitter. Alrighty, so next activity is professional learning plan and showcase. So in here, there's a professional plan template right here, and you're just going to plug and chug on this one. You have learning objectives, data tracking, actions and resources, and timeline. So this is something that I actually almost think would be good to do after you start getting your information back from those 360-degree surveys. I would say start sending those out now. Start getting those out if you haven't already, so you can start collecting data. Once you collect that data, it'd be cool to take that and use that towards this professional development plan. What feedback did you get that you want to continue to grow on? So you just make a copy of this, fill this out. What do you want to do better at? How will you track that progress? What methods are you using, and by when? Maybe you have a short-term goal, a medium goal, and a long-term goal of a couple things that you want to showcase. Fill out the PDE template. This also has an additional piece to it. Let me look at the rubric here. Evaluation criteria. So you have your plan, and then this very last part here, creating an e-portfolio. A candidate created an e-portfolio to showcase his or her best work in the program. Okay, so an e-portfolio is interesting in terms of, why am I doing something like this? And I always try to make it so that you are doing something that's meaningful that you could possibly use in your life again. So I'll talk to you about interviewing. Through the interview process, I know teaching abroad might be quite different than the U.S., but now even if you look at these applications, different schools and even Search Associates and ISS, there's a spot where you can put your personal website. Your personal website can have different audiences. So you need to think about first, who is your audience? Is your audience going to be parents? Is your audience going to be students? Is your audience going to be these people that are looking to hire you for a job? So if this portfolio here is showing your best Teach Now work, I would say that this would be something that you would use for a job interview. this isn't something that you can just whip up in, a hot minute and it looks fantastic. This is a piece of work that should have a lot of time taken into it and really looked at for this interview process. So I understand that these portfolios might not be, that final piece that you would submit to someone if you were interviewing. But I would love if whatever you put into it this time would kind of go that route, if that's what you want. If you're more interested in designing one for parents because you already have your classroom and you're not looking to interview anytime soon, I'm totally fine with that. Would that include a bunch of Teach Now work? Probably not, but you could put in there some lesson plans, or you could put in there maybe your classroom management plan or something like that. So I'll send you a couple examples of people that created it just for this assignment. But in the past, when I've introduced it like this, people really took it seriously, and they said, you know what, this is something that I want to focus on and do a good job on because I am going to use it. And then I've had candidates that are like, I'm not going to use it. Just put in like some random Teach Now assignments. So, of course, it's up to you what you want to do with that. Again, it's only one element on the entire rubric, but it is a great time to kind of start that and get that set up. So think about that. I'll share with you a couple. I'll share with you mine. I struggled with mine because I was like, who do I want this for? I have one for parents, one for kids, one for if I was to interview. And the one I sent, I don't even know what I did for my interview this year. It was not a very good one. So yeah, there's that. That's one activity. Next activity is the planning for leadership and collaboration. We talked about this a lot, okay? What's your plan? What is your school lacking that you can add? What is your purpose? What do you plan to achieve? Who is it impacting? Look at how will the project impact students, faculty, school's mission should be somewhere in your project, parents, and local community. This doesn't say or, this says and. So that's a huge project to tackle. But I want you to just think, okay, if this was a dream world and I could tackle it, what would I do? I do not think our leadership projects are going to fully be implemented by the end of Module 8 at all. We did talk about them about 3 or 4 weeks ago. I've been telling you to kind of take a look at this part. But again, I know it's not feasible due to COVID right now. Project description, implementation, and timeline, and then tools to measure your success. So what could be something really neat that you could add to your school? Or if you're not planning to stay at your school, what's something that you are really passionate about that you could add to any school? Like this could even be something. Nah, I don't think I would talk about it in an interview, but I don't know. Maybe if you researched a school that you're in love with and found an area that school is lacking, what could you bring to the table? Okay, so pretty heavy load, not gonna lie. If you do your e-portfolio correctly, that can take some time. The leadership plan also could take some time. The Twitter activity, probably a little less time consuming. So I'm going to post examples of everything. I'm going to post this slideshow. It kind of has an overview of next week too. The implement your 360-degree surveys. I told you to do that. There's a peer review of 6, 7, and 8. Hopefully we can get those in. And then that finishing up your leadership project, which is, if you were to collect data and evidence, what would that look like on that? All right, so my time is up and my 15 minutes on here are up, so I hope that you guys have an excellent week. Thank you for being flexible with this day off. I had a couple things going on with my kids. I will send you the funny Halloween costumes from yesterday, so thank you guys so much for being supportive with that. Have a great week.